Hey, in this video, you are going to discover new and interesting product research methods so you can find better products to sell on Amazon. And hopefully the journey of selling on Amazon with these new methods is going to be much easier for you. And today I'm accompanied by Reggie Young. Reggie sold his Amazon business for 620 grand in his first year, I believe, right? Which is pretty sick, man. Good job. And he does a lot of different stuff online, and we're going to have all his stuff down in the description if you want to check more about Reggie. But man, could you please introduce yourself to us? Tell us about yourself, what you do. I'm pretty excited for your success with selling the business and other stuff you're doing right now. And then we'll dive into the content.
Awesome. Hello. So my name is Reggie Young. I'm a digital nomad and entrepreneur. I've actually been selling online for about a little over 5 years. And I am a former nuclear missiles officer in the Air Force. I quit my job a little over a year and a half ago, and I sold my first Amazon FBA business about 9 months ago, and I sold that for $620,000. I have consulted for other small businesses, other agencies. I've recently been contracted by a really big Amazon aggregator to run a couple of their high-level brands. And I also have a team of virtual assistants launching new brands, and also hoping to provide agency level support to high level brands, but also support to new entrepreneurs from all different walks of life and all different levels of income. And I do that by trying to create a subscription called The Vault, and you can go and figure that out or find me on The Vault. And in there, I try and put almost everything I know in there for super cheap for anyone to try and get success on Amazon. So that's a little bit about me.
Very cool to meet you, man. And also shout out to Mike Principi. He connected us. And
yes.
Mike is my friend. He also was a guest on the channel. We had a video about being a digital nomad, which is really interesting for people who are interested in that topic. It's really fun and it's super fulfilling. So we're going to have links to all your stuff down in the description if people want to check it out and connect with you and see what you can offer for them. Yeah, man. So product research, as you mentioned, you are doing a lot of things in the Amazon sphere. Very nice, selling a brand for 620K. That's crazy. Cool stuff, man. But that means you found good products and you're still doing that. Can you share some good stuff with us, man? We're going to be really happy. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think, well, one of the classic things that people always consider, or I see a lot on the Facebook groups, is we use a lot of the same product research methods. We use a very common tool, and we go out there and we're constantly looking for new ways to find a product. You find that one product, you think it's not too competitive, you source the product, and then within 3 months, the entire wave of Amazon sellers are there, or right before you get there, they're already there. PPC costs are through the roof, and you end up failing. And I think one of the best ways to look at product research is to first understand that everything sells and everything can be successful. And I think if you understand that first, instead of trying to find the diamond in the rough, if you understand that everything sells, then it changes your focus, and you start to think about, well, why is it that I couldn't sell it? And why is it that I couldn't succeed? One thing I like to really impress people upon or have them really think strongly about is differentiation. And I've posted this sometimes in Facebook groups, and I end up getting backlash from people. And the reality is, I think it's because people don't like the answer. But once you internalize that your differentiation is strong enough, you can compete in any marketplace, regardless of how many reviews are out there. The product that I sold, that I got into, the average number of reviews in that category was 2,000 when I decided to enter the niche. Okay. So by all like classic product research methods, it was a horrible product to get into, right? So, but if you remove that limiting belief, if you remove that constriction, that constraint of staying within a certain price window or all these different things, then you really start to see this wave, this sea of opportunity on Amazon. So that's like the first tip I want to kind of break down, is that first principle, is knowing that everything sells, and knowing that the stronger your differentiation, the more likely you are to succeed. So now, of course, there's so many different ways of looking at Amazon, but if you don't have that differentiation, you won't succeed. And one really good example I like to say is, it's like having, if you were to come out tomorrow with a new phone that was better than the iPhone, right? That was like projecting a hologram, lasted 2 weeks without being charged, and only cost $5, you would break into the market. You'd take over Apple like that. So yeah, when you're looking at it, when you're looking at a product, or you're looking at a niche, look to see if you can provide strong enough differentiation that will last. If you can't, then you need to not even consider entering the niche. Only enter the niche if you think you can dominate and be at page one, position one. If you don't think you can, then I believe you should move on to the next product opportunity and look for that next one where you can see that differentiation. And there's so many different ways of getting there, right? So I have a list that I've been making that's inside the vault, and I'll share a few of them with people here. And a few people have probably heard of these before, but one thing I like to do is just when I'm doing product research and I don't want to think too much, I'll go to this list and I'll just choose a few of these different strategies and I'll just follow the rabbit hole down there. One of my favorite things to do is just type in a random product or just click on a random product on Amazon. And then I'll constantly click the frequently bought together section because I know that they're selling. And I'll just click, okay, frequently bought together. I'll look at not that product, but the niche. Let's say it's a stainless steel mug, right? And maybe like frequently bought together is a Mr. and Mrs. mug or a case for the mug. I'll look at that and I'll look at the case niche and I'll look at that entire niche and I'll see, hey, how can I provide differentiation relative to the keywords that are there, looking at the reviews. And if I can't provide that strong differentiation, I click again, I look down, frequently bought together, I click on that again. So that's one strategy I like to do for product research is start random and then go frequently bought together over and over and over again. You can also start random, click on a product. And then what I really love to do is click on a product and then I do a reverse ASIN cerebral search inside of Helium 10. And then what I'll do is I'll sort by Amazon's choice keywords, and then I'll sort by either organic rank, like position 1 to 20, or sort by search volume high to low. And I'll start just looking at keywords and then finding product opportunities across keywords you would have never seen by starting in a random point. So just start anywhere on Amazon, or you can start with the classic, price range and all these different things, but then just kind of look around. And one of the best ways is just continually click or continually look at the keywords. So like, again, that's why I love the reverse ASIN, because I can see all these different product opportunities. Another thing I like to do is look at brand analytics. So brand analytics, you need to be brand registered for. Instead of doing a reverse ASIN for that, maybe I'll go and take that main keyword for that product and throw it into brand analytics and see what other products come up for that. So if you're trying to compete in the stainless steel mug category and you type, stainless steel mug into brand analytics, and you could never rank for stainless steel mug, but further down the brand analytics chart, you may see Mr. and Mrs. stainless steel mug. And you look at that niche and then you find, I can differentiate because right now everybody sells it in black and white. But the reality is, if I look at the stainless steel mug category as a whole, I see that teal is one of the top selling colors, but that color hasn't filtered all the way down to the Mr. and Mrs. mugs category. So maybe what I can do is, using that product research method, identify Mr. and Mrs. mugs, identify the colors and variations, and then start that process there. So that's another thing I like to do. Another tip is I like to niche up.
Yeah. So first, to kind of sum it up until now, and a little question. So pretty cool, man. Interesting methods. So what I like is that these methods are more rabbit hole kind of way. So you go, as you mentioned, for example, you choose even a random product on Amazon and you hop into the frequently bought together. People just need to scroll a little bit down. It's kind of under the bullets on the left of the listing, just a little bit down. You're going to see frequently bought together. It's either going to be one product or two products. So this product plus one plus other, that means frequently people buy them. You can click on one of the products that's bought with this product, and then it takes you straight to a new maybe niche of products or similar products. And that's cool because you don't do the regular method by going to, for example, Helium 10 Black Box or Jungle Scout. They have their product research, whatever you choose. Then you put in the amount of reviews, amount of, like price. And because you mentioned that this might actually lead, specifically if you're using only like simple criteria, then it might get saturated very fast. Like many people are getting inside Amazon using similar method. This is not a similar method. This is something else. So you dive deep and you're going to find products that maybe people would not have found, right? Another way you've mentioned is you actually put one of these products into Cerebral, into Helium 10, and then it's like a reverse ASIN, it's called. So you can see all the keywords that this ASIN is ranking for. And then you choose specific keywords. As you mentioned, you choose position 1 to 20, plus you do organic ranking, right? So ranking in organic, right?
Yes,
So
or Amazon's choice. Yeah, or organic.
Or Amazon's choice, right? Exactly. Right. Right. So that if it has Amazon's choice, usually it means that there is traffic for that keyword, because it usually is a good indicator that something is happening there. And then the third thing you mentioned was
brand analytics.
Brand analytics, right? Of course, brand analytics. But which leads me to, so that's three ways, right? Into brand analytics, you can also put the keyword, right, that's connected to that product. So for example, it might be that mug that we've talked about, but then you mentioned differentiation. How do you, so maybe people have heard it a few times, differentiation, right? So maybe they think like, okay, I need to change the box. but that's probably has been done, or change the color? Or how do you look at differentiation so it actually is effective even in niches like you've mentioned, where there might be a lot of reviews, and typically some people would be, including myself, I'll be like, whoa, that's a lot of reviews here.
Yeah.
How do I differentiate? How do I differentiate? So how, and what do you think about this?
So I think if you solve the differentiation problem by first looking at the principle of solving the problem. So solving the problem or providing the experience. So when I'm looking into in a product category or product niche, I ask myself, what's the problem? How can it be done better? Or what experience are they looking for? So, and you normally almost always find that in the reviews in terms of how they describe that product. So it's it's the classic answer: go down to the reviews, look to see what the 1-star is, why are they complaining about it. But one thing I really want to impress on people is when you see a review that says helpful, whether it's a 1-star or a 5-star, and it's a lot of helpful upvotes, realize that that's the customer screaming product differentiation. They are screaming the language of the market, how they describe it. So if it's a product that needs to be fixed in terms of like changing the material, you'll see that inside of the reviews. Now, if you can't change the material or you can't solve the problem and you still see a problem there, it may be related to how the product or how the marketing message is communicated to the customer. So if it's like a tea and you think like, oh, it's a tea for like bodybuilders or something like that, and it's like they're trying to market it as bodybuilders, but you realize in the comments it's like it's all women of a certain age group that use certain languages and certain words and like certain color palettes. Well, then maybe you differentiate by actually providing a good brand and a good market fit. So that's some of the ways I differentiate. I actually also have a list called product differentiation, and it's a list. I'm looking at it right now. Probably like, I don't know, like 50 or 60 different ways to add differentiation to a product. Just like simple things from like changing the material. Yeah, you can change the packaging, but one thing I like to do is like functional packaging is a way. Does the packaging become something that they can use later? One of the things I'll do is like, I'll even add, like if the product's super high price, I'll add a magnet, and the magnet will have a QR code, and the QR code will have a funny saying in that niche, and that QR code or that magnet will stay on the person's fridge, and they can scan it every single month to enter a contest that will do all kinds of cool stuff for repeat value. That's one small way of differentiating after the product is purchased, but just kind of thinking to yourself, how can I make the product better? Yeah, one of the things I have on here is magnetize it, and it's one of the things that people do to like, what's it called? Apple did the that little magnet on the back of the phone case, like magnetizing anything is like a great way of adding differentiation to it. Making it collapsible is one way, like changing how it's transported, making it silicone. Most things, if you just take a product and make it silicone, the production cost decreases significantly. And then next thing you know, it's like a product going through the roof. There's all different types of products out there that have just changed the game by either just being magnetized or breaking it or changing the material altogether. So like there's so many different ways to provide differentiation. I would suggest people write down a list and continue to ask themselves, how is this product different from the other? When you walk down Walmart, one of the things I used to do is on my free time, I'd walk down Walmart, Target, Home Depot, all these in-person huge chain stores, walk down every single aisle and ask myself, what is this product doing better than the product next to it? How is it differentiating? And by the time you're done, it could take a couple hours and you have this massive list of ways in which products have differentiated across different marketplaces. And it really starts to trigger this thought process in your head. So when you look at a product and you're going through these random different ways of looking at product selection methods out there, you'll come with all this subconscious or conscious knowledge of how to provide differentiation in the marketplace, and you'll immediately see it. And if you don't, you just go to the next product and keep going down the rabbit hole, attack from different points.
How do you know, Reggie, if, for example, I want to differentiate in some way? I see a market and I even used your list of like stuff you're recommending, but how will I know that this differentiator is actually going to be useful? So first, you as you mentioned, look at the reviews, right? It's an interesting point. If a review is helpful, unless it was done on on the not artificially, how you call it, when somebody did it on purpose. But I think it's not on every listing. Here and there you might see it when people maybe purchase some service to do that, but usually it's not going to be like that. You're going to see something that's upvoted. That means that customers are, as you mentioned, screaming something is missing or something is actually good. So you can maybe emphasize it more if it's really good, people enjoy it. So that's one way to understand if they need something, right? So you want to differentiate something that's missing, but maybe somebody solved this problem already, right? Maybe the problem is solved. Maybe it's like pretty much it's solved. So then, as you mentioned, Another way you can see is you can market it as, if I understand right, to a specific audience that might be looking for that keyword. So for example, let's say people are searching for tea, right? And maybe tea specifically, yeah, like it can be tea, but if you brand it and show it as tea for vegans, maybe, right? Or maybe like even deeper, like people who are vegans but are also girls that want to succeed, entrepreneur girl vegans. I know it's like very small niche, but this is kind of very differentiated. When such a girl will see that, she's gonna really like that tea. So that's maybe a way. But how do you know if also like differentiator will catch up
work.
or not?
Yeah. And that comes from just doing really good market research. And one of the things one of the ways I validate that from a analytical level is I will look at all the keywords in the niche. So one thing I love about Helium 10 is when you're doing a magnet keyword research, you just type in the main keyword in there, it'll give you a list of single word phrase keywords, and it'll sort them by frequency. So like if you were to type in Mr. and Mrs. mugs, the category, it would pull up all the keywords that it can find relevant in the niche, and it'll say like mugs and the number of times that count has gone up. And then we go all the way down till it goes down towards the bottom. And through there, I actually look for that to kind of tell me what colors people are searching for. So if I see teal as a color, then I know that people are actually searching for teal a lot in that space. If I know they're searching for 16 ounce versus 8 ounce, and I see 16 ounce at 3 times the count, then I know I should probably sort a 16 ounce teal mug. And that's how I'll kind of create all that overlap between what the market wants, create that overlap, create that differentiation, solve the problem, brand it correctly, have that correct marketing message, and then push it forward. So that's one way in which I will validate the differentiation as it happens. And then one thing I do is, as I'm coming up with this, looking into this product, it's not enough just to look at one product and try and ask yourself like, hey, how can I provide differentiation? I like to move pretty fast, and I'll just come up with a massive list of product opportunities. And what I'll do is I'll have my virtual assistant, I'll quickly look at a product opportunity that I think may do well. I'm talking like 20 seconds, look at it, and I'll take that main keyword and I'll add it to a spreadsheet. And what my virtual assistant will do is they'll go on this spreadsheet that I built, and they'll go and they'll scrape all the data like search volume, price, profit margin, how many monthly sales it has, estimated landed cost per click estimates, all these different things. And what I'll do is this spreadsheet will spit out a final score for each product. So very similar to Helium 10 Jungle Skull, they have a success score or something like that. And it's a score based out of 100, right? So you used to see a lot of people posting on Facebook groups, what about this product? And it's 7 or 97, or they're changing like how they kind of do it now. What I like to do is I like to compare my current list of products against the other product opportunities I'm considering. So this may be a little bit confusing, but I've come up with a formula, and anybody can make a formula like this for themselves. But I tried to take every single variable that I found was relevant, like search volume, all these different things, cost per click. And I created a formula. At the top, you have product opportunity, profitability, all that kind of all the good stuff at the top of the formula, right? Like if you were to think of like a fraction, top of the formula is good product opportunity. The bottom of the formula, all the variables that would lower the numbers. So or that would be bad. So risk, and anything that's bad would be towards the bottom. And I tried to look at all these different variables, come up with a formula where I can put them in, and then one product would be an opportunity of 70, and another product could be an opportunity of 1,000. And I know compared to each other, this one is significantly better of a chance. So that's something that I do. And I'll just make this massive list, have my virtual assistant go through it. And by the time it's done, they could have looked at 200 product opportunities, found from an analytical point of view, which product would be better because it has better profit margin, turns over faster, has a higher ROI, is more giftable, is subscription-based, has better search volume, wider keyword landscape. And I'll look at these top options, and then I'll start my research from there, because I already kind of did this wide breadth. Then I'll jump back in, look at those top 20% and ask myself those questions. How do I differentiate? How do I communicate the marketing message? And how can I put all these different ways of, I don't look for just one way to differentiate. I try and differentiate in every single way: the packaging, the material, how light it is, how small it is, the branding, the texture, the feel, like everything. I have this whole list and I kind of go through it, and I try and put all that in there, and then I launch the product.
Wow, man, that's exciting, man. Really nice. Very high level stuff, bro. Like seriously. Pretty cool.
Thanks.
I would also add to that, and I think that's one of the things you are also thinking about is recently saw that on a webinar by Tomer Rabinovich. I don't know if you know him. He's a pretty also known guy in the space. He also consults very big brands, and yeah, very interesting person. And he mentioned this. He mentioned that every touch point you have with the customer, or actually that customer has with your product or brand, in every place, if they touch it here or they look at it there, or they think about it or something, everywhere you gotta also differentiate
Yes.
there, sort of. But think about it, have it in mind, every part. All right, sometimes we don't really think about it too much. We launch a product or something, but we can make the experience of the customer much better by actually thinking of every touch point. And this actually workshop was about reviews, about getting reviews. And like, the more you actually think about the customer in mind in every touch point, then they are going to be happy to leave you a review eventually and just tell about you to their friends, etc. Pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other things I want to talk about here, and a new way that I've been doing product research, is because even when you go down this method, right, that I talked about, from looking at whatever the product opportunity is on Amazon, once you start making money, it'll pop up on somebody's radar, somebody's Chrome extension tool, and you give it 6 months, even if you're early, and you are going to get ready to get freaking flooded by competitors, regardless of however you go about it. So what I've been trying to do over the last 6 months is find product opportunities that will do well before they even signal on Amazon. And the way I've been thinking about that is how, like, if all these research tools, everyone's scraping from Amazon, right? They're doing some kind of data analysis, some kind of, manipulation of a formula or a thought process to come up with something in which they say, this is a good product opportunity because I see it on Amazon. Well, what if I could find a product opportunity I know is going to do well before those signals start on Amazon? So what I've been doing now is trying to operate from that principle. And I realize a great way to do that is to look at things that are trending, that have such low search volume on Amazon, low keyword depth, but are exploding on forums, exploding on Google searches, starting to explode on Etsy. The way that I like to frame that mindset around it is looking at do-it-yourself spaces, or DIY. When a product is in a DIY phase, it's because it has such massive momentum behind it, massive search volume, and people are starting to bundle it or make it themselves at home and sell it on their Etsy store, or sell it, or they're linking to it somewhere. It's exploding on TikTok somewhere. And I'm seeing that, and I go to Amazon and I see, well, there's no search volume here on Amazon, but Google search volume for how do I make one myself, where to get it, where the best place to buy it is, that I realize that's a massive opportunity. And then I've been starting from there, and I've had really, really good success so far, operating from that principle of what signals are happening off of Amazon that are significantly high and about to pop, and then seeing that landscape on Amazon starting to build out. So let's just say, like right now, shampoo bars is a shampoo bar for your hair is a huge niche. It's ultra competitive. It's been competitive for a long time. But like 4 or 5 years ago, if you were to look at shampoo, the niche would have been either super saturated or not worth getting into, but you might have seen 1 or 2 keywords for shampoo bar or solid shampoo bar. But I guarantee you, if you go back 3 or 4 years and you looked at search volume, you would have seen so many DIY shampoo bar Google search intent keywords. You would have seen a lot more people on Etsy making them. So trying to find those DIY movements early, I think, can be super, super powerful. And it's a great way to do product research, because then you're first to identify the market before anyone does. You can take your time sourcing it and getting it right. And when you launch on Amazon, you are 6 months ahead of the next competitor going to Alibaba and making it super quick and putting that into Amazon. So I think that's one of the best product research methods to kind of go for and to look at going forward. Other than that, you're going to just be looking at all these different random things starting at different parts of Amazon, and you're always going to be looking to provide some kind of formula or some kind of analysis, but trying to reframe that and step completely away from Amazon and using those signals that start off of Amazon first I think is a great way to operate.
Oh, pretty cool, man. So yeah, you're saying like get out of the Amazon bubble and just think outside of it, because sometimes or many times products get to Amazon, but not all the products start there at all. Like some just don't. And as you mentioned, DIY, right? When very creative people create all sorts of things, all right? As you mentioned, the shampoo bar, right? So that's like a stove pretty much, but for the head, I think. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like somebody came up with this a few years ago, right? And it's at some point it got into Amazon. But if you were to find it But how? Like, would we look into Etsy? Etsy is more like a DIY marketplace, right? Then we have Google, maybe with breaking. And if you go to Google Trends, there's like breaking
breakout searches.
Breakout searches, right? And then also there's Glimpse. You know, Glimpse.
Yes.
Glimpse also provides you, it's like you can get actually a free once in a month. They give you like some trends that are emerging, but if you go for the paid version, you can get like some trends, not necessarily products, different industries, etc. So you can be early to the game. Definitely.
There's a ton of software out there that will find these trends, find these macro, even from a fashionable standpoint, right? Like you have farmhouse, which is like a massive keyword opportunity. It's been a keyword for a while now in the home and kitchen space. But if you found the next keyword like that, the next iteration of how things trend forward, and you saw that trend break out, and then you operated from that place first and looked at the products or differentiation by design for the next farmhouse keyword, and you operated from that level, that's one immediate way you can differentiate without having to create a new mold, without having to do anything, and knowing the signal before it reaches Amazon. So definitely look into those tools. There's a ton of them out there, both free and paid.
And another thing I just thought about, again, I don't know how good that is or how good it would be, but for example, if we use the Helium 10, right, we grab some sort of keyword on Amazon, it can be like maybe, let's say, a kitchen knife, right? A kitchen knife. And then we do kind of the opposite. We go and look in the lower searches, like not the ones, like 5,000 search volume per month. You go into like maybe 100 to 500 and you do like long tail keywords. So maybe there you will find some like new variation for that kitchen knife, something that is upcoming, is starting to get searched for, maybe something like, maybe it would be like, instead of just a kitchen knife, it would be like kitchen knife with 2 blades or something. And you're like, well, it doesn't make sense, but maybe it's blowing up now on Etsy. So it's just, I don't know if it's any practical, but maybe.
No, definitely. Definitely. That's an extremely good way of doing it. There's so much product opportunity in these sub niche down categories that you can source and sell. And then what you do is you optimize the listing for that very niche down product, for that high differentiation. And then when you launch your PPC campaigns, you focus your keywords towards those very specific, dual chef knife kit keywords. You don't go and target chef knife because you're not going to ever rank for it. And if you just waste money, so just keep it focused.
But then you dominate the little niche that you found, and there you can be first far away from competition, maybe because they're not digging that in depth. And yes, you're not going to be making as much as the top kitchen knife, top of search they're making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, but you can have your nice piece of pie and it's more quiet. You're like in your little universe and having some good time there. Reggie, man, how can people find you? You have your website, right?
So you can find me at reggieyoung.com, and links to all my social media are there. And you can also find me at Instagram, reggie.k.young. But the links will be down in the description. You can find me there and ask me any questions you need.
No, man, thank you all for coming today. Very exciting episode. I think very interesting ideas for a seller of any level here. And we appreciate that a lot. And if our dear viewers enjoyed, we would appreciate a like on the video, a dislike if you didn't enjoy. Ask us things in the comments. And also on here on the screen, I'm going to have end screen on YouTube that will lead you to my Amazon product research playlist where you can find more videos. People can click on it now if they want to go and check it out. And Reggie, man, thank you. And you're definitely welcome to come again for more videos.
Thanks a lot for having me, and I appreciate it.